Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, now from deep in the darkest forests of northern Minnesota, the show you've waited for. This is Grizzly's Growl. And I am honored to present our host, the man, the mystery, the legend. This is Grizzly.
Hello and/or hello again. This is David Grizzly Smith. Yes, that's true. You have not heard from me for a very long time. The last recording I can find that I actually did was in 2020, about June. Got laid off from my job in August during the lockdown, so that happened to a lot of people. But that's the last time I can find that I recorded anything. I did repodcast, I should say, a couple of things that I had done previously, including On Liberty from John Stuart Mill. But I haven't done this in a long, long while. And I thought what I would do is throw together a quick Grizzly's Growls to give you an idea of what I am thinking about doing and what I really ought to be doing if I can get my courage to screw my courage to the sticking point and actually do it. There's a book. Okay. First of all, you know that I recorded John Stuart Mill's book On Liberty, which a lot of people have heard of. And I found out something recently about On Liberty. Namely, in 1851, John Stuart Mill had married Harriet Taylor Mill, and he was together with his wife from 1851 until 1858, when she passed away. And On Liberty was published in 1859. Now, when he did the book, he did a dedication to her, giving her a lot of the credit for how the book turned out. In fact, he said that basically without her input, because she was gone, the book was nowhere near as good as it would have been and could have been if she was still alive. That dedication was not in the copy of On Liberty that I had to record from, so I didn't do it. But it's a lovely, lovely dedication, so I'm thinking I want to do that as part of this next book. In 1869, he released his next book, or at least another book, I think it was his next, called The Subjection of Women. And if you ever go ahead and look into his time with Harriet Taylor Mill, I think you can safely say with high confidence that he could not have written on Subjection of Women without his time with her having a heck of a lot of impact on that book. So that's part of it. That's why I want to record Subjection of Women. The other part is that something that he did in On Liberty that I would have to say he did again in Subjection of Women. Namely, very up close toward the front of the book, he stated in no uncertain terms exactly what his position in the book was. And there's maybe a very, very short paragraph that conveys the entire message of the book, and the rest of it is just example and explanatory and so on. It's very good. The rest of the book is very good. But I wonder if he couldn't have done a heck of a lot more to that book, because he only covered one subject when talking about types of liberty. He covered freedom of speech, which is important, but it wasn't the only thing he could have covered. And in Subjection of Women, at the beginning of that, he says something which I think, once again, is remarkable because you're hearing it from more than a century ago, and yet it impacts on things that we are doing and saying and discussing these days. In particular, what he said when he was talking about Subjection of Women. He said that I'm not going to, in other words, in his words, I'm not going to convince anybody because they don't believe what they believe based on arguments, based on reasons. They believe what they believe based on feelings. They have a gut feeling it's supposed to work that way, and their minds will not be changed. If you go through every single solitary argument they have and shoot all of them down, they will simply wander off and come up with a bunch more arguments and come back and start over again. And in fact, when he needed to present his arguments, the expectation would be that he not only had to respond to every argument they currently have, but also every argument they have ever had, and every argument they ever will have, and they still wouldn't be convinced, because again, it's not there. They weren't doing it for reasons. They were doing it out of emotion. Now think about that idea, and think about arguments that we are having in these times. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? And then today, when I was originally looking at recording this, I'm currently on Mastodon now. I'm not on that what used to be the Bird site. I am currently on Mastodon now, and rather more satisfied than what that dump turned into. And I note there's a message mentioning a new book that came out fairly recently, speaking of subjection of women, entitled The Political Economy of Sex, subtitled Desire, Violence, and Insecurity in the Mediterranean Nation States. As they say, at the intersection of the warmth of hearth and home and the dangers of the street lies the tenuous position of women, engaged in reproductive labor, those involved in the sex trade, and those in domestic positions. The tenuous position of women. It's not so much here we go again as here we go still. It's a message that's been out there for more than a century. And here we are. So yeah, there's a bunch of reasons why I think it's an excellent book, and if I, again, can screw my courage to the sticking point, as Shakespeare put it, then maybe I can manage to record that for you. And we'll see how that turned out. Long chapters in that thing, though, let me tell you what. But, yeah, older books like that, though, the chapters just go on for frickin' ever. I mean, the Federalist Papers, my God, I got through, 17 out of 75 of them? Still got a bunch of those I got to try and do sometime. I don't have to, but I probably should. So anyway, there's that. Someday soon, too, I've got to redo my outro because of all the credits things that are, the Creative Commons stuff is out of date. Somebody took a bunch of my podcasts and put them on LibriVox without my permission. And really kind of stretching a point as far as the licensing is concerned, putting them on LibriVox, but I am too tired to even deal with it right now. Anyway, I hope you enjoy the book once I actually get around to doing it. And I will talk to you later. Good morning. It's like 4 a.m. now. Take care.
Thank you for listening to Grizzly's Growls, the life and times of a minor local celebrity. If you like the show, tell your friends. If you don't like the show, tell your enemies. If this podcast lasts more than 4 hours, see your doctor. Theme music is Hot Swing from Kevin MacLeod at Incompetech.com. Subscribe to the podcast on iTunes or at feeds.feedburner.com/grizzliesgrowls. Comment at grizzly.libsyn.com or by voicemail at the comment line 218-234-CALL. That's 218-234-2255. These shows are released under Creative Commons Attribution, Non-Commercial, No Derivatives 3.0 license. Your mileage may vary.